Hey, welcome, Carm Capriato. Remarkable Results Radio's episode 496. Now, here's another captivating interview from Apex 19. Now, I hope you're following the development of this new school, Automotive Institute for Science and Technology. Are you? Good. Glad to hear it. Then you'll be happy to listen to this update. Now, by the way, this school needs support from the entire industry, including you.
We have business, engineering, skilled trades, and robotics. We're not focused on just technicians. We're letting students explore and see everything that industry has. The instructors, along with the counselors, are going to highlight what are the things that the students are good at, where are their natural aptitudes at, and try to help guide those students to see their career options with those aptitudes.
I love what you're saying, Anthony. Is this a hard sell to the parent?
It's actually not.
Welcome, aftermarketers, to Remarkable Results Radio. Listen to learn just one thing from today's episode on your journey to remarkable results. Hey friends, Carm Capriato, the Automotive Aftermarket Podcast guy. Now, hey, Apex 2019 is in the record books. I must say, Apex lived up to presenting leading-edge technology from suppliers, but they also did a great job of showcasing the emerging tech of tomorrow. You'll have plenty of time to plan for Apex 2020 and the brand new section dedicated to the service professional. It will be named Repair Shop HQ. Wow, sounds like fun. So write these dates down on your calendar. Write them down, November 3rd through the 5th, 2020. Apex, now more than ever. Okay, now get ready for an update on AIST, the new school taking shape in Colorado Springs, Colorado. Now, back in March 2019, it was episode 418. We got our first glimpse of this new school. My guest, Anthony Williams, was on with Chris Chesney, and you'll find that episode moving as Anthony and Chris set up the expectations of where automotive training needs to be. Now, give this episode your due. Get excited over the passion Anthony brings as the leader of this initiative and the vision he has to change automotive education as we know it today. AIST will nurture students with a project-based learning model that will bring them into our workforce ready to tackle about anything while preparing them for the thousands of roles we have available inside of our automotive industry. I want you to look for and find the talking points with Anthony Williams and links to his previous episodes at remarkableresults.biz/E496. There's important links in those show notes. Hey, so here's something important. This project needs important industry support and funding, and Anthony, he's at the forefront of that and working hard to build this new institution from the ground up. Hey, you can help. You can buy a brick. Yes, you can buy a brick. Even offer your support at PayPal, or if you're the president or CEO of one of our biggest and most important industry manufacturers or suppliers, please consider getting involved. So see the show notes, remarkableresults.biz/E496 for all these important links for fundraising and to the school's webpage. Our multi-billion-dollar automotive industry can make this happen. Now, project-based learning, as Anthony explains, is a perfect style of teaching that lends itself to the quality of students we need coming out of high school and post-secondary to enter our workforce. We need to rewrite the way we educate our future. Hey everybody, back at Apex 2019, and I'm in studio with Anthony Williams from the Automotive Institute of Science and Technology, and we're here, Anthony, for an update. If anyone says, who's Anthony and what is the Automotive Institute of Science and Technology, 418 is the episode that you, Chris Chesney, and I did. Remember that? Where you shared your dream of building this phenomenal school. And I have to tell you, everyone, this is it. This is such an incredible facility idea. It's Anthony's dream come true. He's been looking for funding. He's been getting some. He's getting ready. And is it next year?
Yeah, we're trying to open for fall of 2020.
Okay, so fall of 2020, their first class will go through. This is automotive aftermarket automotive training, not aftermarket, but automotive training on steroids with a completely different concept of how we teach our youth.
Brief recap, the school is designed as a high school. We're partnered with the community college as well, so there's concurrent enrollment throughout the high school. It's designed to go from 9 through 14th grade. It's 6 years of high school. After 4 years, a student can graduate with their high school diploma and move on, or they stay with us throughout the 6 years and complete the rest of their associate's degree. It's designed so that it's tuition-free charter school. Students can come to the school. They can earn their college degree throughout that 6 years, tuition-free, free to the parents. There's no cost at all to the student. One of the big changes of the school design is that we're breaking the traditional idea of school. So instead of having standalone siloed classes, there's not a math, English, science, history class. There's projects. Students will choose from a few different projects that are aligned to the academic standards. I
love this. Now, did you create this?
No. So in all honesty,
but you saw the value of it.
Yeah. So in all honesty, it came about because I didn't know how to make the book make sense to students when I was helping tutor them before I even started teaching. And every time I tried to make it make sense, I had to go back to the garage. That's the only place I knew. When I started teaching, I just kept working with it, and other teachers that were struggling with teaching their content or getting that the students engaged. I kept partnering with them and saying, "Hey, let's teach together." And the student engagement went out the roof. It was exciting, and their takeaway was so much more. They were able to apply what they were learning.
So they were struggling with theory in the textbook, and you said, "Hey, wait a minute, eyes, hands, ears. Let's go. Right. Let's go talk about this on the vehicle or on a training aid." And did you go back to the book then?
So the books are important, and it helps with that reading comprehension side. The big takeaway here is that when you read, you have to be able to apply it. If you can't apply it, there's very few learners that can just internalize that theoretical side. And maybe not a few, maybe there's quite a bit. I cannot. I can read and I can look over it, but I have to do it. And if I'm not doing it every day, it's going to go away. Mm-hmm. And that's our big goal in this school is we take every core content, your English, math, science, history, and we put it into a real world hands-on project so that, the teachers are working together. You may have a math teacher, an English teacher, and an automotive instructor together on a project. And that's the biggest change up in this school that we try to make sure everybody understands that this school is designed that we're taking the automotive industry. We have business, engineering, skilled trades, and the robotics. We're not focused on just technicians. We're letting students explore and see everything that industry has. They highlight the instructors along with the counselors are going to highlight what are the things that the students are good at, where are their natural aptitudes at, and try to help guide those students to see their career options with those aptitudes.
I love what you're saying, Anthony. Is this a hard sell to the parent?
It's actually not. So right away, and we argued about the name of the school, and in hindsight, I probably should have avoided automotive because everybody has a negative connotation with it. But right now, I'm glad that we stuck with it because I think our industry needs this change. There's a lot of technicians that don't know anything. I'm sorry. There's some bad technicians. But on the flip side, there's some amazing technicians that are diagnosing every day that when you see their diagnostic process and you get to see them apply that science and that math, and you get to see that they're producing the same level of work that bachelor degree engineers are doing. And it's that concept that we're pushing out, and that's what we want to fill the industry with. It's not about just putting more people into the bays or putting more people behind the counters. We talk about a technician shortage, but the problem is there's not a shortage of people. And I think there needs to be a change up in that conversation. It's not a people shortage. It's not a human shortage. It's a shortage of skilled people to come into our industry. It's not about changing out parts. I mean, there's still some entry level positions where you're just flipping out parts. But that diagnostic aspect, it's a lot more in depth. They need to understand those core concepts.
And the core concepts are going to come from the project-based learning.
So, and before I learned what project-based learning was, one of the first combinations I did, I had a social studies teacher trying to teach about the Industrial Revolution. Kids were falling asleep in class. She was at her wits' end. She was crying after school when I went and saw her. And she's like, I don't know how to motivate the kids. I was just starting to teach about alternators. And so what I did is I said, we combined classes. So we brought her class and my class together, and we were teaching about how alternators work. So we started by disassembling and reassembling them. So as I told them how to disassemble and explain the components and how they work together, as they were working with it, she started talking about how the Industrial Revolution works. We started out in our own homes and producing our own stuff and manufacturing our own stuff and selling our own stuff. Then we brought everybody together into factories. And so as the students were doing as they're taking apart and putting together alternators, we're tracking the time so we can look at productivity. When we brought them together the next day into groups, we watched something happen as they were sharing different ideas and ways to hold the brushes back to slide the commutator in. And they're sharing these little tricks back and forth, and their productivity started to increase. And so we kept tracking this. And as we continued talking, I continued showing them how the components are working, how diodes work, how the different windings are created. And then the social study teacher came and started talking about the next step was when Henry Ford brought about the assembly line. And so the next day, we set up all the tables so that they're in rows. And so we put the alternator casings all on one end, and then we set the parts out, how they would go together. And each student had their part, and we kept timing their productivity. Mm-hmm. So they were actually interacting with this concept. And the students were just so excited about it. And we had an econ teacher that jumped in at the end of it, and he said, hey, can I jump on this project? And I said, sure. Same kids are in your class. And he started explaining, he said, so when we brought robotics in, what happened to the economy when you started displacing the workers on the assembly line? And so the students were like, well, then you're going to have unemployment. And so immediately they became engaged in econ as well. Mm-hmm. And everybody was just blown away. They're like, how did you do this with alternators? I was like, you could do it with anything. The only thing I knew was alternators. So, right. You could do it with production of homes. You can do it with, mass producing anything. It's everywhere. I just know automotive. So it's that concept I later learned was project-based learning. And that's where we're coming to now is now we've built the curriculum out so that we have projects that are designed to motivate the students, but to engage them into that learning. So, we talked about last time on 418, we talked about having the CSI project. We just finished up. We're just finishing up. I have a few fine tuning to do a little bit on it, but there's a project where they're actually designing the suspension for a go-kart. Now the go-kart actually goes across several different projects. So the suspension group, when they're learning about geometry and suspension, they're actually going to 3D print out the different parts and components. So they're going to create short and long arm suspension systems. They're going to create, leaf spring suspension systems. They're going to get design and learn about steering components. They're going to learn about steering angle inclination. They're going to get to see all of these math concepts come to life. They actually get to take, instead of just looking and doing the math over, they're going to create those math equations.
But the math teacher shows up when the math teacher needs to be there.
Exactly.
Got it.
So, the automotive instructors talking about suspending a vehicle in the air and how you would do that. And so the science teacher is going to start talking about Hooke's law. This is how spring rates work. The auto shop teacher comes back over and lays on top of that variable springs. Mm-hmm. So then we get into the different control rates. So you're talking about we're building a small cast car first before we build the full size riding cart. The small cast cart, they're going to be driving around. They get to create this and they get to see what different suspension components do. Then as they're doing this, they're going to figure, okay, well, how do I know? Because we can't just keep making 1 billion springs and testing, and we don't have that kind of material. So how do we figure out which spring to build? Mm-hmm. Enter the math teacher. Well, now you know about Hooke's law. I'm going to show you the math equation behind variable spring rate and how to figure it out mathematically.
Where are you going to come up with the curriculum for all these concepts?
We're writing it.
Good. So you don't sleep at all. You just did.
Yeah, we gave up on sleeping.
724. The Apex 19 is in the record books and brought the best and brightest together to create an experience like no other. Now, I was so impressed with the impact Apex has in presenting emerging technology. They are on the cutting edge of the connected car, and you'll find everything you need to know on what you'll need to do to stay ahead of the curve. Regarding emerging technology, APEX will feature again in 2020 the latest trends that will have an impact on the service professional and equipment. Wow. See, feel, and touch the latest tools and equipment that will bring efficiencies to your business. And in 2020, there's going to be a separate section dedicated to the service professional shop. It'll be called Repair Shop Headquarters, and it's the place to be if you earn your living in the aftermarket. And for training, APEX will present some of the best aftermarket technician and management trainers in 2020. So mark your calendar right now. Put the date on it. APEX 2020, November 3rd through the 5th in Las Vegas. Listen right here to learn all about the exciting events and when you can start registering. I am so impressed. And this seems like the 22nd century style of teaching and learning. And this is perfect to start up a brand new school, yet it's not totally funded. And so you're on, not to make a plea to please send your dollars to here.
Right.
You're talking some really big bucks. And so part of what you do is to take this pitch to the fathers of our industry, right?
That's the goal. And it's a lot harder than I thought it was going to be. It's essentially, it feels like I'm basically panhandling in nicer clothing. It's hard because everybody loves the idea and they agree that this change is not just about our industry. This change is about education. I mean, we have an answer. Our industry has an answer to change education, the education model that everybody's been complaining about for decades. You know, the industry and our training that everybody's been complaining about decades. We've talked about it. We have all these panels about it, and we have an answer. We have something to do, but it's going to take people to move, and we need the funding to do it. There's a lot of funding for education to start up if it's a traditional model, but in a brand new model and a prototype, there's not money for it. And we're trying so hard. We're looking for grants. We're trying to get different government money, but ultimately it's going to come to the industry. And it's frustrating because we hear these monies get talked about, and it was 60 billion, 80 billion. This morning at the keynote, I believe the word was $1 trillion aftermarket industry. Mm-hmm. And when I hear those numbers, I say, we have the money to do this prototype.
That's the global number, but your point is exact. This is going to benefit the North American and probably more the United States aftermarket as you start with one school. And I know you have a dream of rubber stamping this somewhere, which is going to require additional monies to at least get to the school districts and say, we have a new mousetrap.
Yeah.
But you have to prove the mousetrap right now, and you need funding to make this happen. And the funding, is it for the building? Is it for the student? Is it for the instructors? Give me an idea where the money is going to go.
The school will receive what they call per pupil funding. So we have money for operation of the school once we have students in the seat. But we need a place to put those seats. And so funding right now is for the facility and the construction of it. The facility, we've gone from trying to figure out how to buy a large property, break ground, and build from the ground up the Taj Mahal. And it was a $26 million venture. And everybody kind of like stepped back and choked for a second and said, that's awfully expensive, which I'm letting you know right now, if just go look at any school, $26 million is still a drop in the bucket.
Yeah. So you're talking about renting to start with, maybe?
So we're trying to do a rental. The hard part is even with a rental, the modifications we'll need to do to a building. So we found an old Kmart building that's been empty for a while. So this model works really great for us because there's a lot of big box stores that are going empty because of the internet and in buying and selling. Mm-hmm. So, but even this property, this old rundown Kmart is $5 million. So with that and being really conservative in our numbers and really dialing back, no bells and whistles, with the construction over the next 4 years after purchasing, it's still going to be another $6 to $7 million on top of that in outfitting it to be a school.
So you're a fundraiser and you're a visionary and you're a curriculum writer.
Yeah. And I still turn wrenches on the side.
And, of course, you have nothing else to do.
That's the fun part.
What are your efforts? I guess I'm really curious to know. So you're here at Apex, Anthony, and I'm sure you've talked to a lot of important people.
I feel like everybody here is important. But yes, we've had some good conversations, and we've had good conversations over the last couple of years. the hard part is making it go from a conversation and an excitement about the facility to an actual money contract situation.
Okay, so let's talk about the marketing of this. You sit down with a super qualified individual and you say, please come to Colorado Springs and spend some time with us. Or I'd be more than happy to go to your headquarters, make a presentation to your board of directors. I mean, is it getting to that level?
That's where we're at right now. So we sent out the actual ask for money to a few different corporations. So the executives at Drive Time and the executives at Christian Brothers are both reviewing that ask, and they've both showed interest in it. So the next step is we're hoping that they're going to invite us out to come and actually pitch, talk, and answer all the questions they have. But right now we're looking for it's heavy money. It's a lot of money to really pitch into this project. One of the other things I think is really important, especially being here at Apex, is that we want to keep this school for the aftermarket. Here's the catch-22. The GM, the Ford, the Mercedes, the Audis, they've been investing in a lot of the colleges, and they have the money to do it. The dealerships have the money to do it. They have the money, and we even had a conversation with one of the local dealerships. They have the money to throw down right now to help us build the school. But just like everybody keeps telling me, and it happens just like this on the phone, is they want first dibs on the students.
It's a quid pro quo. And, frankly, if somebody puts $1 million check in your hand, they're going to want something for it because nothing's coming back to them except a feel-good moment that they've helped education. So what can I get? I'd like first dibs on the students.
Yeah. And that's a hard one. And I've started actually flipping that question around starting to flip that question around and ask them, what does that mean? It's not indentured servitude. We can't just give you students. You can't just come in and pick which ones you want to take. It doesn't work that way. In the internship process, we actually are going to partner with those interns. And Dwayne Myers is actually speaking with me tomorrow, and they actually have a really good apprenticeship program.
Yep.
And I'm super excited about picking his brain and having him come aboard and help us figure out this model, because it needs to be a collaboration. And if we're helping the shop to change their culture, to train their techs just like an education system, if their culture is starting to adapt to what we're doing and we're putting students there, the students after a couple years of internships shouldn't want to leave. If after their internships they're leaving, that's not our fault. That's your fault.
Right.
So it's the wheel. If you come along and help us financially, it doesn't come as just give us the money and then just sit on the side and watch. It's give us the money so we can partner together. Once we partner together, then we'll still help and change your culture or adapt our cultures together so that the students are comfortable where they're at.
I figured out your funding.
All right.
I did.
If you say the lottery, I've tried that.
750,000 techs in our industry, maybe a couple 100,000 shop owners. Let's call that 900. What if every one of those people sent you $10 to $15 a piece? Well, there's almost somewhere in the neighborhood of, I don't know, maybe 10 million. I don't know. I'm kind of playing around. It's easy math, right?
It is.
Very easy math. So why can't we do that?
So here's when we're talking about money, everybody's excited about the feel-good side of the school. We have several different funding options right now that are open and that haven't netted anything. We're pushing it out on Facebook. We're pushing it out. But we have at our website at the automotiveinstitute.org, we have a PayPal giving fund. So if they're willing to donate, just straight donate to the school, they click on the button. It takes it over to giving fund. PayPal doesn't take any money from that. No. All 100% of your donation comes directly to the school. We're on Amazon now. So if you go and shop and you go smile.amazon.com, it's the same Amazon, all your credit card information, all your shopping cart stuff, everything stays the exact same. The only difference is everything you buy, the school, as long as you choose our school, Automotive Institute of Science and Technology, you choose our school as the philanthropic giving, Amazon donates to us 0.5% of every dollar you spend. And so it's that, we have that one as well. We also have buy a brick. and buy a brick, you can go on our website, you can click on it, and you can actually buy a brick for $150 is a 4x8. An 8x8 is $300, and a 12x12 is, I believe, $600. And those you can actually have them inscribed with your name or your shop's name and your logo. And those are actually going to be built into the school so the students can see every single day. And that's part of our building a strong foundation. And those are things that technicians or shop owners or just even mom and dads, anybody can go and buy those and help build out.
So if you're listening, and I know you are, Anthony just kind of outlined, we'll make sure that in the show notes of this episode, all those links are there, but it's not that difficult. AutomotiveInstitute.org, and all those funding options are there.
Everything's available.
Okay. So 900,000 people that work in our industry, which is just a tiny part of it, are not going to all of a sudden do this because they feel good about this. But you should. The next steps, though, is to get some, if you will, heavy money coming in the seven-figure range to get this thing really going. Kudos to you for the effort that you put in. There's no question you're articulate enough. I'm sure that people feel your dream. They sense that this is a great moment, a great opportunity for our industry. I'm going to promote this as much as I can. You can come on often and give us an update, Anthony. If you get some funding money, just come on and tell us where I think we would all like to know, without maybe always visiting the website, what's the status of AIST?
I would love to. And any chance I can get to talk about the school, and I'm all over Facebook. I'm learning Instagram. Apparently I'm ancient and outdated already at 35, but Instagram's a new thing. So we're going to be putting out a lot of updates and letting people know where we're at and what we're doing.
Think about this. A 35-year-old has got this vision and this dream, and he's going to be around for a lot of years to see this thing happen, not only in Colorado Springs, but in many other places around the country. And I know you'll be an advocate for people around the country who say, hey, I want to do this in my neck of the woods. If there's anything new and cutting edge, we talk about it here on the podcast. This is trending, and it needs to happen. And so I wish you a lot of success in nailing down some pretty big money. And I think the people from the industry need to step up and send a $20 bill your way, man.
Every dollar counts, and we're grateful for everything that we get. We treat the same for a dollar donation as we do for $1 million donation. We need anything we can have.
So who's your big benefactor at this current moment?
So Advanced Auto Parts has been our number one benefactor and carried us quite a bit. They've given quite a substantial amount to this project, but it's not, and this is an important part, it's not Advanced Auto Parts School, it's the industry's school. Right. So even competitors, I'm reaching out to AutoZone, I'm reaching out to O'Reilly's, Let's change what it looks like behind the parts counter. Our school's going to address that as well. It's going to address your profit and losses. It's going to address your storefront, your outside sales, your commercial sales. We got engineering. So if you've got friends or people in the engineering field, let them know. Tell them, come our way. And we're going to be putting out a high quality student that is ready to diagnose, ready to do that in every part of our industry. They're going to be able to diagnose problems in business, in engineering, robotics, and in our skilled trades.
Wonderful, wonderful. Grassroots, plant the acorn and then you'll get an oak tree.
That's the hopes.
Hey, thanks, Anthony, for being here. Anthony Williams, the Automotive Institute of Science and Technology. Can't wait to hear the next update. Hope some big money funding comes in real soon for you, man.
Thank you, Carm.
Thanks for being on board to listen and learn from the premier automotive aftermarket podcast. Until next time.